I'm talking fatigued like a full-grown gorilla is sitting on your shoulders, saying, "Take me for a pony ride." Hi, it's Nani, and welcome to the Chronicles of Nani. I know last week I ended saying that there would be perhaps something different this week, and then the editor broke in during the credits and said, "Wait, there's more that I haven't talked about." And the editor would have been right. Also, the editor is me. Um, I don't have, I have MS. I don't have issues where I take on a completely different personality when I'm editing than when I'm talking. Um, However, there are some people that might beg to differ when they watch me editing and getting totally in the zone, where sometimes I'll stop and, what was I going to say? When I'm editing, that doesn't usually happen. That's the I become a normal person without MS when I'm editing. It's something that I've always loved doing. It was my favorite part of any job that I've ever had that included getting behind an editing machine and starting to make magic. That's been something I've always loved doing, and it's something that in working on this vlog, I get to do again with a vengeance every week. And just for that little bit of time that I'm doing the editing, and by the way, that little bit of time is usually a couple of days. But for those couple of days while I'm editing, I don't have MS, and that's kind of nice. I know that that's all in here. I still enjoy the fact that I have enough power to say I'm doing something I love doing, and I forget that I have MS for a while. And that's always a very nice thing. There was one night a few years ago that I was at Red Lobster with my husband, and I don't remember if it was Valentine's Day or our anniversary or if we were just going out to enjoy ourselves. But we were sitting and having dinner, and I told him that for a while I forgot I was in a wheelchair. And that's always nice to get so caught up in something, that to have that moment, those moments where you can say, just for a little while, you don't remember that you have a chronic disease anymore. Those are always very nice and very special times. And something that if you don't keep a personal journal, you ought to think about it. When you have really bad days, write about it or type about it or speech to text, which is what I do. And when you have those really good moments, do the same thing. Just keep track of your bad days and keep an eye on how your disease is progressing. But also don't ever, ever forget the really good days, because sometimes clinging on to those is the difference between falling off the edge into a major depression and being able to keep your will about you and say that, you know what, this could be worse. Because the truth, it can be worse. It can always be worse. And that brings us right back into symptoms. I wanted to mention that there are 4 main types of MS. There's RRMS, PPMS, SPMS, and PRMS. And just to give you a little bit of information about what each of them is, relapsing remitting MS, or RRMS, is the most common form of multiple sclerosis. About 75 to 85% of people who have MS have RRMS. It's marked by temporary periods called relapses, flare-ups, or exacerbations. And relapses usually last a few days or a few weeks. The symptoms seem to disappear, and that's known as remission, thus relapsing remitting. Secondary progressive MS, known as SPMS, is probably the cruelest of them because you get used to one type of MS and then it changes. So you have to get used to it all over again. SPMS symptoms worsen more steadily over time. It's usually something that you have RRMS and you use disease modifying therapies, and then it starts to progress into progressive MS, where if you start with progressive MS right off the bat, you're used to it getting worse and worse and worse. With SPMS, the secondary progressive is you start with RRMS and then it starts to get worse and the symptoms don't go away anymore. The third type is primary progressive MS, or PPMS. That's the one that I've got. This type of MS is not super common. It only occurs in about 10% of the people who have MS, which means I'm special. But with this type of MS, it's characterized by your symptoms slowly become worse and they just never go away. The last type is the most rare. Only about 5% of people with MS have progressing relapsing MS, or PRMS. I personally don't know anybody who has this type of MS. Only about 5% of people with MS have PRMS, and the main characteristic of it is it's a steadily worsening of the disease state right from the get-go. There are no acute relapses and no remissions, and you just never recover from it. Sometimes I wonder about my having primary progressive MS, and I definitely have symptoms that tell me that that's a correct diagnosis. Just the fact that I'm in a wheelchair, the foot drop, and the fact that my legs were able to do less and less really did never go away, and I really can't walk now. But I have other symptoms that do come and go, kind of like RRMS. And I wonder if I actually either had both or have both, or if it's actually secondary, primary that I have now. Except that the weird thing is that the primary symptoms happened first. And there's so much that's not known about MS. And there are things that I've talked to my neurologist about. Other things that, because I've got so many other things to talk to my neurologist about, or questions that he or his assistant are asking me, that I forget to mention the curiousness that it seems like I definitely got primary progressive MS, but there are some symptoms that come and go, like relapsing remitting MS, and it's kind of confusing. And like I've said before, no two people with MS have the same MS. Everybody has got different symptoms and different ways that they work together or challenge the person with MS. So that I'm constantly asking myself, when I remember asking my neurologist, questions about, so exactly what kind of MS again? The number one symptom, I think, and that's why it's so silly that I didn't mention it at all last week. But the number one symptom that I think it doesn't matter what kind of MS you've got, you feel, is fatigue. I'm not talking about feeling tired, um, or even feeling tired all the time. I'm talking fatigue like a full grown gorilla is sitting on your shoulders, saying, "Take me for a pony ride." You just want to say, "I can't move." I refer to myself as a type A personality trapped in a type MS body. There are a lot of people that have known me for a long time that think that that's a pretty accurate description. The fatigue is something that never goes away. It gets better, but even friends that I have that have relapsing remitting MS have days where the fatigue is not so bad, and then days where the fatigue is really bad. Excuse me. Uh, you guys are listening to me talk. I'm the one talking. Um, so sometimes that gets to my voice. It also tackles my niece had commented that if this is a coffee shop in cyberspace, I should be drinking more coffee. Um, Tori, if you're watching, I just had coffee, okay? And I agree, and I certainly hope that everybody that's watching what turns out to be about 20 minutes every week, make sure you have a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage when you watch. Coffee shop in cyberspace, but it's bring your own. Anyway, fatigue, which is the big symptom. It's one of a lot of people tell you the nastiest symptom, that you go from being a go-getter to feeling like doing nothing. That you'll have days that your best friend will call, "Do you want to go do this?" "Oh, I don't feel like doing anything." Or your spouse will entice you to, "Come on, let's go out to dinner." And it's like, "No, I'm not even hungry." Where the entire thought of lifting a spoon sounds so heavy. It's very common with a lot of people that you can sleep for hours and wake up just as tired as you were when you fell asleep. That describes what fatigue is like and what it can do to you, and how destroyed it can make you feel to sleep an entire night and you wake up and you're just as tired as you were before you fell asleep. It's exhausting sometimes just to look at the list of things you want to get done, or to think about the things that you need to do. So fatigue can be one of the earliest symptoms and a symptom that never goes away, even if you have relapsing remitting MS. That fatigue is the one thing that stays with you all the time. It's an invisible disease. Maybe not quite so invisible with me, I'm in a wheelchair, But if you are not in a wheelchair, if you're someone who has this awful disease, but you're still fortunate enough to be able to work, and you fall asleep at work, it's not because you were out partying the night before. It is an horrific symptom of a disease that you have to carry with you every day. The big thing today is fatigue, and if you have MS or if you have a disease that causes fatigue problems, leave a message in the comments, because I'd love to start a dialogue. I don't see the comments, and they will come. I'm sure they will, because the subscriber numbers slowly but surely keep going up. So I'm hoping that soon somebody's going to say, yeah, I want to mention something, and start a dialogue, because I can promise at least you'll have a dialogue with me. And if you have any questions, you can leave them in comments, or you can send them to me via email at chroniclesofnani@gmail.com. And I promise that I will answer every email that you send me. And that brings us to the wrap up and the end of Symptoms 2 for this week. And I'm sure there are other symptoms too that I will bring up at some other point, and there'll be a Symptoms 3 somewhere down the line. But for right now, we're going to stop with talking about symptoms, and next week we'll talk about something else. I'm not going to let the editor correct me on this one. And I will see you next week, and I hope you enjoyed your stay. And if you're a new watcher, hit the subscriber button and come back next week. We're new every Friday at 8 o'clock, and I hope I'll see you then. Thanks a lot, and have a great week.